Starting off the new year with a new shoot. So today I'm in downtown Houston, well, about to approach downtown, and I'm about to cover a 3-day business conference for a client in Dallas. So, funny thing, I actually got this job through the Art of Documentary community page, and I actually knew the person who posted the gig. We met previously at the DFW Filmmaker meetup, led by David Moorfield. So we had a little chat. Even though I am from Dallas, based in Dallas, I do occasionally do work in Houston. I did a lot of work for a bunch of other companies. So since he knew me, he decided, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go with this guy. I know him, I trust him a little bit more than someone he's never met before. So always, guys, I'm doing my best. Good old Houston traffic. I used to live around this area and I do not miss this at all. So I got here very early, almost 40 minutes before I'm supposed to arrive. I have the mindset of, regardless if it's a half day, if it's an hour, my mind will not rest until the shoot is done. So I'm here early. I might as well get a few shots of downtown Houston with the drone. So let's see how it goes. Trusty Mavic 2 Pro. Bought this drone back, I think in 2019, I think. Actually, the first piece of camera equipment I did buy was this drone. So it's lasted me a good amount of time. I have no need to upgrade to the Mavic 3 or anything like that because this is working just fine. It's a good example of, like, there's always new gear coming out, but sometimes the old stuff is still working. It still works. It still has a great image. You don't need to upgrade everything. So this is solid. Been with me for a few years now, and I think it can definitely get another 2 to 3 years out of this. Who knows, maybe longer. So good news and bad news. The place is letting me bring in gear and kind of pre-light and assemble that stuff and, like, just sort of leave the interview room built out, which is good. Bad problem is there are windows in this room, and I don't know how often you guys do this, but getting exposure for indoors and outdoors is a little tough. Good thing I brought a few extra lights that probably will help me, and hopefully I can get enough exposure. I am shooting log, but I also want to make sure I'm delivering a really good product. So we'll see how that looks. The good thing is I'm allowed to bring in all my stands. I can basically get my interview location already set.
Okay, so the most important thing you should do when setting up an interview is finding your frame. So usually for me, it's finding a background with some sort of visual interest that isn't generic or against a white wall. In this case, after a bunch of trial and error, I picked this left corner of the building that had some windows because last minute the client wanted to see some of the Houston skyline because this event is in Houston. They're based in Dallas. They just wanted to see a little bit of Houston. So I found this corner that had some windows, found my frame, general height, and set my tripod down. It's that easy. First thing you do is find your frame. Then after this, one of the people actually that was cleaning up or setting up this room actually helped me move the foosball table so I could get out of my frame. And now I'm setting up my Aperture 300X and softbox combo. I love this light. It's bicolor. It's decently bright. And overall, I just trust Aperture as a brand. Honestly, I need to download the monitor control app for Sony because you'll see that I'm constantly going back and forth to see how it looks on the monitor. And it just takes a little bit more time than I would usually want. I usually like having an AC or a PA stand in for me, but today I'm alone, so things are a little bit more difficult.
Quick tip, if you guys are ever going to be building up a rig, I recommend building it on a tripod. I already have my tripod attached, so now I can add my rails, so I'm soon going to add my V-mount plate and every other accessory I need to be covered for a full day in this room, just interviews. All right, so here's the setup. I have a aperture 300X on the Light Dome 2, and I have the Amaran 200X as well. So the challenging part is there's windows, and obviously right now it's getting darker, so I can't really judge exposure for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be from 11 a.m. I believe till 4, so the light will constantly be changing, and I'm worried that this key light is not going to be enough for exposure for both this and the subject, which would be like roughly here. So what I am going to be doing as well, I'm figuring out like the best way to do this, but I don't have a second softbox, but I do have a 5-in-1 reflector. So depending on how much light I have, I might put this 5-in-1 reflector in front of this to diffuse it a little bit, give me a little bit of extra light. I'll match the color temperatures on both these lights, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, I got the boom set up. Just need to run audio directly to the camera, which I will be doing in a second. Ultra wide shot of the setup. Boom mic over there. Aperture Light Dome 2 on a 300X, and I'm firing a 200X through this 5-in-1 diffusion because I do not have a second softbox and I don't have a large enough piece of diffusion to get enough exposure. So this will kind of be my accent light. Hopefully I do not need to have some sort of bounce or negative fill, but that's kind of what this stand is built for. Like if I need negative fill, if there's enough light with this, I'm not sure it will be. But this can be turned into a negative fill board that I could put on this side, the shadow side of the face. So we'll see. So if you guys don't know, I like to run my FX3 pretty stripped down. The latest addition I did add was this cage, and I'm really liking it for handheld, especially with the hand strap. It's a lot more comfortable and I don't feel like I'm gonna drop it, which is nice.
Like, I don't bring anything to the table for God. God has no need. You are the treasure I find, my reason for living. The clouds of hell begin to shake.
There was a live event, music concert kind of thing happening, and I'm glad I brought the 7200 from my case upstairs. Honestly, it's pretty clutch just being able to swap this out. I mean, it's a little shaky because it's handheld, but you can't beat the 7200. It is amazing, and it definitely gets you a different look from this 24-7. Now I'm gonna pack up everything in my camera case. This door locks, so I can leave all of this built up. But my rule is always take the camera, no matter what. If you're out of a microphone, if you're out of lighting, you can still make do with the camera. Will not be great, will not be pretty, but at least you have the camera. So I'm about to pack this up, and then I'm about to get out of here.
While it takes a little longer than using one of those doctor bags, I love using my Pelican 1510 for travel. It can fit 3 lenses, my Sony FX3 body, and all my accessories for camera. It's also airline friendly, and I can't tell you how many times I've flown on travel shoots with this exact Pelican setup. And here are just a few shots of me getting B-roll on the gimbal. Especially on the gimbal, I always try to get a little bit of movement, a little bit of parallax movement, just keep it slow, keep it steady, and just overall, I'm not a big fan of gimbals, but it does help me get shots that I normally would not be able to do handheld, like this panning shot of the room. Okay, and now we're finalizing the setup for the interview. Yesterday I got all my framing basically set, but now that I actually have my wife with me as my PA, I'm actually using her to just kind of get some framing and get some lighting, just like narrow it down, just fine tune it a little bit. She's a little shorter than normal people, so I am using my Pelican 1510 as a really ghetto Apple box to get her to like average human height. And now we're doing one of the interviews. Surprisingly, the Aperture 300X is doing a really great job of getting exposure on the subject while also not clipping the windows, so I'm really glad. The setup also changed a little bit. I ended up switching my 5-in-1 reflector to the other side for some fill. While I love moody images, this is still corporate work. I didn't want one side of the face to be way darker than the other.
Done with interviews. Rig lasted me pretty well. Went through 2 of these V-mount batteries, but I've got a charger right there. Lights, and basically everything held up, even for exposing for the inside and the outside, which I'm glad. Now it's time to break this stuff down and get ready for some more B-roll for the rest of the event.
And now here we finished all the interviews for the day. There was no more need for a boom, no more need for lights. It was strictly just B-roll for tomorrow and the rest of the night. So, just packing everything away. I'm not sure exactly how long it took me to pack. I'm still trying to get faster at it, but so far I keep all my gear fairly lightweight, fairly easy to travel with, and relatively quick enough to set up. I love my aperture light dome too because it's super fast to set up. And yeah, I'm just putting all my stands away, trying to find all the bits and pieces I may have left from the day because we were in this room all day. So things were kind of a little bit more messy than I would like. Now I'm just setting things back to how they were, just so the people working in the building don't get mad at me. I don't want them to get mad at me. So I'm just setting things back to how it was.
Last day of this 3-day conference. Feeling a little tired, not gonna lie. The first day was a late night, and then the next day was a very early morning to late night. We left a little early, which is nice, and what I'm really happy about is that today it's a little bit more lenient, a little bit more relaxed. It's the last day, no interviews, just B-roll, and it's a pretty quick, easy day. So yesterday I filled up an entire 256 gigabyte SD card, shooting 4K 60 for B-roll and 4K 24 for interviews. And I just want to know, what size SD cards do you guys shoot with? Do you shoot with 128s? I've heard a lot of different rules to this. Some people say smaller SD cards are better just because once they fill up you can just swap them out, and then you're not risking so much footage being on one single card. But I'm always recording to 2 cards simultaneously on my FX3. So for me, and with some of the weddings that I shoot, 256 gigs is enough to get me through a whole 4K 60 day. But I just burned through media yesterday. I literally shot through, it said 0 minutes remaining on the SD card. I love it when the gear list is just so small today. Just my gimbal, my case, my backpack, and I'm all good. Nothing else. Right now I'm using the 256 gig ProGrade V90 cards. I love these things. I actually filled one up yesterday, which is kind of insane. But since this is a 3-day conference, I actually have all my cards here, organized in day 1, day 2, and day 3 cards. I'm just gonna leave in the camera, and I'm also backing up on my external SSD. Getting a few exterior shots with the gimbal. Haven't really had time to do them, so it's nice, it's bright, sunny, so I figured it's best time to just get this done before events are actually starting. Event is over. Managed to fit everything back in the case. Not as perfect as it was the first time, but it's been a long 3 days. Finally relax. Gonna pack up the gimbal and then say goodbye to the client, and then I'm off.